How long have you been telling yourself you will deal with it tomorrow? That phone call, that apology, that form, that appointment, that decision you already know cannot be postponed much longer. Dear heart, you have not been lazy. You have been afraid. Afraid of what becomes real once you take the first step. Afraid of hearing bad news. Afraid of admitting that the situation has become heavier than you wanted to face. Part of you keeps saying there is still time. Part of you says I need to be stronger first. Part of you quietly wonders, what if I finally act and it changes everything? Beloved, that last thought is closer to the truth than you realize. Yes, something may change, but not all change is loss. Not every honest move destroys what matters. Some actions save what can still be saved. Some choices interrupt a slow unraveling before it spreads further. Precious one, hear me softly but clearly. This is not past beyond repair. The door is not shut. The possibility is not gone. The bond is not beyond mending. The practical matter has not yet hardened into something unchangeable. But delay is no longer neutral. Waiting now is no longer rest. It is becoming avoidance. And avoidance has a quiet way of making tomorrow heavier than today needed to be. My child, I am not speaking to frighten you. I am speaking because your heart has been circling what it already knows. You feel the pull to address it. You feel the weight every time you put it off. You feel the small drop in your stomach when it comes to mind again. That is not punishment. That is awareness. That is your inner life telling the truth before circumstances force it more harshly. Loved one, there are moments in life for waiting, moments for patience, moments for gathering strength before movement. This is different. This is one of those times when the next right step does not need perfect confidence. It needs willingness. You have been hoping for fear to leave first, but courage often appears while fear is still in the room. Sweet soul, you keep imagining the whole staircase, every consequence, every outcome, every possible reaction. No wonder you feel frozen. You were not asked to carry the whole future before taking one honest step. You were only asked to stop turning away from what requires attention now. That is enough for this moment. Dear heart, what you are avoiding may be practical on the surface, but beneath it there is something more tender. It is grief. It is shame. It is the ache of admitting that something important needs care. Maybe it is your health and you are scared to hear the answer. Maybe it is a relationship that is frayed, and you are scared the conversation will expose how far apart things have grown. Maybe it is a responsibility you neglected because you were already overwhelmed, and now you fear being judged for not handling it sooner. Beloved, I understand why you hesitated. I understand how avoidance can feel like temporary protection. For a little while it spares you from discomfort. For a little while it lets you pretend the wave is not coming. But eventually, what is unaddressed begins to speak louder. It enters your sleep. It follows you through simple moments. It drains joy from places that had nothing to do with it. This is why I am calling you gently toward movement. Precious one, I do not accuse you for being late. I invite you to be honest now. There is a difference. Shame says, you ruined this. Wisdom says, there is still time to tend what matters. Shame says, hide until you feel better. Wisdom says, begin while you are still shaky. Shame keeps you looking backward. Wisdom turns your face toward what can still be done. My dear one, you do not need to perform strength for me. You do not need to pretend you are ready in every part of you. I already know the trembling behind your delays. I already know the mental rehearsals, the exhaustion, the self-blame. And still I tell you this is not over. There is room for repair. There is room for response. There is room for one clear act that interrupts what fear has been feeding. Loved one, perhaps what makes this hard is that once you begin, you cannot go back to not knowing. Once the message is sent, once the doctor is called, once the truth is spoken, once the paperwork is faced, once the boundary is named, life will move. And yes, movement can be unsettling. But dear heart, stagnation has been costly too. It has kept your mind busy but your soul burdened. It has stolen energy without giving peace. It has made you live with a low constant dread instead of one honest moment of courage. That is too high a price. Beloved, I am not asking for a dramatic leap. I am asking for a faithful shift, a simple act of honesty, a small turning toward what you have resisted. Do not underestimate small beginnings. A seed does not look like a forest. Still, it carries direction. So does one needed call, one truthful sentence, one completed form, one request for help, one act of returning to what should have been addressed. These things matter. Sweet soul, you have been punishing yourself for not moving sooner. That punishment has not made movement easier. It has only added weight. Set that down now. The time you spent delaying cannot be relived, but this moment is still in your hands, and this moment is enough to begin changing what comes next. Not because you can control every result, but because facing reality opens possibilities that hiding never will. Dear heart, some part of you fears that if you act now, you will discover you waited too long. That fear has become its own prison. Listen carefully. Even if consequences exist, clarity is kinder than dread. Even if repair takes work, movement is kinder than denial. Even if the answer is hard, truth is kinder than carrying invisible fear day after day. This is one reason I am nudging you, not to burden you more, but to free you from the endless strain of unfinished necessity. My child, the urgency here is not frantic, it is clean. It does not shout, "You must do everything now." It simply says, "Do not postpone what your heart already knows needs tending." That is different from panic. Panic overwhelms. Clear urgency focuses. Panic says, "Run in every direction." Clear urgency says, "Take the next right step." Beloved, you have more capacity than fear has told you. Not endless capacity, not flawless capacity, but enough for the next act of honesty, enough to speak one truth, enough to ask one question, enough to admit one need, enough to begin. I know. You wish someone else would do it for you. You wish the issue would resolve itself. You wish time would quietly fix what time has only exposed. But there are certain mercies that arrive through your participation, and this is one of them. Precious one, if you move now, you may feel immediate discomfort, a pounding heart, a little grief, a rush of vulnerability. Do not mistake that for failure. Sometimes the body trembles simply because truth is finally being honored. Sometimes the first sensation after avoidance is not relief but exposure. Stay gentle with yourself there. Relief often comes after the honest step, not before it. My dear one, imagine the difference between carrying a hidden weight all day and finally setting it on the table where it can be seen. The weight may still exist, but now it is no longer fused to your inner life. Now it can be addressed. Now others can help, if help is needed. Now decisions can be made from reality instead of from dread. Now your mind does not have to spend so much energy pretending not to notice it. Loved one, this is why movement matters. Not because action always feels good, but because truth creates space for healing, repair, clarity, and peace. Avoidance narrows your life. Honest response, even when uncomfortable, begins to widen it again. Sweet soul, if the matter before you involves another person, remember this. Speaking now does not require perfect wording. It requires sincerity. You do not need to explain your heart with polished brilliance. You do not need to anticipate every possible reaction. You may simply say what is real. That simplicity carries more strength than the elaborate speeches fear has been writing inside your mind. Dear heart, if the matter before you is practical, remember this. One step often reveals the next. You do not need the whole map. You need the form, the call, the appointment, the response, the first piece completed. Momentum often enters quietly. It begins with one thing done that once felt impossible. Then the fog lifts just enough for the next thing to appear. Beloved, if the matter before you is inward, a truth about yourself you have resisted, remember this. Naming it does not make you weaker. Naming it is the beginning of becoming free from its hidden power. Whether it is burnout, dependency, grief, resentment, depression, or a pattern you hoped would fade on its own, honesty is not your enemy. It is the doorway through which healing often enters. Precious one, you do not need to earn the right to begin again. That right is already here. This moment has not withdrawn from you. This chance has not disappeared because you hesitated. There is mercy even in delayed obedience, if you turn now. There is tenderness for the one who waited too long and finally speaks. There is grace for the tired heart that has been hiding from what matters. My child, I want you to notice how long this unfinished thing has been taking up space in you. How many times it has interrupted your peace. How often it has resurfaced when you were trying to rest. That repetition is not random. It is your life asking for attention, and your life is worthy of attention. Beloved, do not wait until the cost rises further. Do not wait until another week of inner dread passes. Do not wait for some future version of you who feels no fear at all. That version is not required. The version of you who is here right now, tired, hesitant, sincere, is enough to begin. My dear one, I am near when you gather the courage. I am near when you fumble for words. I am near when you sit in the car before going in. I am near when you stare at the screen before pressing send. I am near when you tell the truth with a shaking voice. You do not take this next step unsupported. Loved one, be careful not to confuse urgency with punishment. This invitation is not a harsh deadline. It is mercy before greater heaviness forms. It is light touching what has stayed hidden long enough. It is love refusing to let avoidance quietly shape your future when another way is still available. Sweet soul, and if part of you says, "But I should have done this months ago," answer that thought gently. Perhaps you should have. But now is what you have. Now is where courage can live. Now is where wisdom can still be chosen. Now is where dignity can be restored. Do not despise now because it is later than you wanted. Dear heart, I am not measuring you by how delayed this became. I am looking at the sincerity with which you turn. That turning matters. It changes the atmosphere inside you. It breaks the spell of helplessness. It tells fear it is no longer the one steering your life. Beloved, after you act, do not be surprised if you feel both lighter and tender. That is natural. A wound exposed to clean air can sting before it heals. Be gentle in that space. You do not need to judge your emotions for arriving. You only need to keep moving in honesty. My dear one, there is still goodness available on the other side of this next step. Maybe not perfect ease, maybe not instant resolution, but goodness, yes. The goodness of no longer hiding, the goodness of self-respect returning, the goodness of clarity, the goodness of peace that comes when your inner life no longer has to split itself between what it knows and what it avoids. My child, take the next right action with a soft heart, not a frantic one, not a punishing one, not a dramatic one, a sincere one. That is enough. And when the moment comes, when your hand finally moves, when the words finally form, when the delay finally breaks, I will be there in the quiet center of you, steadying what trembles. So for now, rest in this truth: it is not too late. The path is still open. The needed response is still possible. The chance to tend what matters has not passed you by. When you are ready to stop circling and begin, come into the stillness for one moment first. I am with you. And after the step is taken, after the honest move is made, after the night has settled, I will remain here, calm and close, while your heart learns the relief of no longer turning away. Amen. My dear family, every message shared here is prepared with prayer and devotion. We continue this work with gratitude and faith. If you feel led to stand with this ministry, the support link is provided in the description and in the comment box below. May the Lord guide and bless you always.